Okay, for today's video and podcast, it's very fortunate for me. I have Cristina, a long-time connection over LinkedIn on Zoom. She granted me an interview today on mindset for greatness, which is actually a topic that is close to my heart. And before we actually get to the questions, Cristina, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, I'm glad to be here, Aldrich. We know each other for some time now, and we had some very interesting dialogues around the topic. And I could just say that I studied the mind for over 20 years. This is 2 decades. And so this was my fascination, and I balanced this with my entrepreneurial self. So business and mindset, basically, how we function, what makes us tick, what blocks us, what motivates us. And it was a fascinating learning process, during my life, and something that I also implemented in the companies I worked with. So this is a life learning journey for me. I don't think I will stop because we have so many things to explore. And so every time I work with a business, my first point is the people. If you don't have the crew and the team to build up something great, you won't achieve anything big. Like, if you are working alone, you can just achieve as much, but in a team, you can achieve greatness. And from here, mindset to greatness comes in. And also I had a big shift lately. So I take co-founder and COO role to an AI plus mental health startup, which is just amazing. And it complements a lot my passion, because now we know that technology is here, it will stay, and we need to befriend it and take care that AI won't kill us, but will be a good ally for us. And this is something that I'm very passionate and excited about, the new startup I'm involved now. And so I'm very open to have an open discussion with you today.
For sure. And we can always talk about AI in the later part of our conversation. But just for the benefit of our audience. So, Cristina, what is your background? Are you in the medical field? Are you in psychology? Which is why you talk about the mindset of people. So just give our audience a kind of an idea where you're coming from.
Yeah, so it's an interesting journey as well, because I got fascinated by the mindset and how we function basically in high school and maybe even earlier. And I wanted to discover what works. And when I decided what kind of university to take, I had many options like you were mentioning. And I wanted to prove myself, and this maybe will be part of our mindset discussion, that I can do it the tough way. So I chose the medical field. Where I decided to go through psychiatry, and that was the idea then, but only because of the mind. And I wanted to know also the pathological field and all of our problems that can appear. And in the meantime, I switched, but all of my summers I were at the psychiatric clinic, where I learned a lot of things. And later on, when I decided that, okay, psychiatry is limiting, if I go on that route, I cannot do a lot of other things I would love to do. And so I started my own businesses as soon as I finished the university, the medical school. And later on, I learned all of maybe the connects therapies around, also about physical therapy, but also emotional and psychology and everything what I saw. It was a self-learning process because I cannot do them all. And at some point I finally found NLP. NLP I found in university as well, and started to practice it. It was not like I go to study NLP. Now I want to understand it, so I tested. I'm a tester. I believe that we all test each other all the time, but we also need to test ourselves. And so I wanted to test myself in different kind of areas and put my mind to work in different scenarios, putting myself out there, risking different scenarios and possibilities, interactions with people, and also including like techniques in communication. This was the first process, like how to improve communication, how to make myself understood. So I entered in this NLP field for a long time. Then later on, after around 3-5 years, when it was the first class in NLP here, I just took it, and the journey began also on paper. And now currently I'm the president, the national president of ARONLP, the Romanian Association of NLP, and many other sideways studies as well around this. But basically, this would be enough for now.
That's a lot that you have gone through. A lot. So when you were in medical school, did you actually go expose yourself to other disciplines within the university, or you did your own businesses while still study in psychiatry?
Well, psychiatry was like the practice you need to do in the summer, and we didn't need it to do psychiatry. So this is one of the things we just were sent to polyclinic and do some basic stuff there in the first 3 years in the school. But it was not what I wanted. That can be good for a student who doesn't know which field is best suited or where she or he wants to go. But I knew, so I had the possibility to work with one of the greatest minds and a genius listed as a genius of the 20th century and a great psychiatrist. So I went to his hospital and I worked there. And he said to me on the first day that, okay, if you want to practice next to me, you need to know that you will become a practitioner from day one. You won't just stay here. You need to know how to do injections and all those kind of things. So he truly put me to work. But other than that, like my colleagues, maybe they didn't do much during the summer, but I had journals, and very quickly I also had the chance to have patients, to just work with them, listen to them, and that was the main point when I started to know about depression, bipolar syndrome, anxiety, and so forth, schizophrenia. And so it was very fascinating because I discovered that we all have like a little bit of borderline psychology. You know, we all have the tendency to go in one direction. One people are more close to depression, others to anxiety, others can be a little bit schizoid, others to they can be sociopath or psychopaths, or they have those kind of tendencies. In my case, it was obviously obsessive compulsive disorder. So I was very neat with some things in high school. So I discovered that, okay, I have the tendency to go there, so I need to be careful. And I could create some personalized labels around people pretty early on to see in what kind of pathological direction they could go if they just jump through the other side, you know, if they don't take care of themselves and they don't know how to manage their inner states. And so, yeah, I did this during the summer. I studied all the medical, like to be a medical doctor, you need to go through all of this. But my focus was here, psychiatry and psychology.
Yeah, very, very, I think you have a very rich background and experience. And I have a wildly different journey, but it's also a lot about finding myself out, a lot about experimentation, and a lot about dealing with the circumstances where it is against me. But I'll leave that aside first. So we can talk more about that in a while, which I think you already know part of my story, which I share in terms of my aunt's wisdom every Sunday on LinkedIn.
I love your aunt.
Oh,
I don't have the chance to meet her. Yeah.
She passed away. She passed away when she was 51. I think that was the year 2012 or 2013. I don't remember. But I don't remember everything about my aunt. I remember events about me and my aunt when I was younger and when I was growing up. She was very tough with herself. She grew up in a pig farming family. And in the 1950s, it was still male superiority over females. She didn't accept it. She told everyone to go away and she wants to study. And despite being poor, and she can't find tuition teachers because she can't pay, she worked to become a top student every year until junior college. And then she worked on top of her studies, and she routinely has 18, 19, 20-hour days, even when she was young, as a teenager growing up. So when she told me those stories, I told myself I thought that was the way to live life. And I'm totally convinced. How do I know that that is what I want to do? I have to try it. I can't just think about it. I got to try it. So those were the very first experience I had with my aunt. And the most important lesson that she told me, and she taught me when I was younger, was that money lessons. It was very, very important. And some of those lessons are very uncomfortable to the audience even today, that we are ultimately responsible for ourselves financially. And when we don't want to, the people around us will pay the price. Unfortunately, my aunt has been right about this. So I can't help but to always think back about the teachings that she has given me that I didn't understand when I was younger. 20 years later, she has proven me right. That people who think about money are not selfish. They think about being responsible. And I love that. I love that. As well as time. So she did everything on her own. Everyone in her family didn't like her, including her sister, which is my aunt. They didn't like her because she would just tell them, I'm not going to do any housework. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to focus on what matters. If we take this lesson and we remove the background of 1950s and we put it to today, you will think that your daughter is brilliant. Oh, wow, she can focus. Oh my gosh, good job. Please do whatever you know, but in those days, it's not like that. So my mom and their sister and their brothers didn't really like her. But whenever they are in trouble, they look for her. And I see that whenever I'm in the household with my grandparents, I see that. And I just ask myself, should I listen to what the other aunties and uncles are telling me about my aunt? Or should I trust what I see? What I see is everyone is asking for her help. What they are telling me is that she has been irresponsible since she's young. Now that's interesting, right? You have stories from two sides. I choose to listen to myself because I trust what I see. So those are the kind of lessons that I learned when I was very, very young. So back to this topic about the mindset to greatness. My very first exposure was with my aunt. My very first exposure. When I cry, she'll slap me. I guarantee you, she'll slap me. She would say, that is the last thing you should do. It's a waste of time. If you think you don't have enough money, get your ass off the chair, get out and earn some money. Then you will know what is money. That was when I wanted a sweet and I don't have any. Now, today, you would think that's crazy, right? Why would you slap a child because he wants a sweet? Just give the child a sweet. But that wasn't my learning lesson. It was, okay, I get that. Wipe off. If I want it, I have to go out to get it. So I try to find ways. I try to sell something. And along the way, my aunt would teach me how to sell for a shop. So The common one is I would go to a provision store, a shop downstairs, and I'll tell the uncle, Uncle, how many bags of sweets do you have? How about this? I sell them for you. For each of the sweet, you pay me 5 cents. For each of those that I sell for you, pay me 5 cents. And then the uncle will be like, sure, why not? Give it a try. So I took those sweets. I went to school and I unpacked them and I started selling to my classmates one-on-one. It was the happiest learning I ever had. That I learned so much from that, from my aunt, more than my teachers. It's like, okay, I don't have any money to buy ice cream, but I can earn my own money to buy the ice cream. So these are the kind of lessons that I'm exposed to every once or twice a week. Every once or twice a week. It's like whatever that my dad and my mom teaches me, my aunt will come in and hijack those thought patterns and set me straight again, like, no one owes you a living. Want something, do it. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. And you gotta do it. So my aunt has that kind of character. She just get her ass off and do it. So I learned it from her right from very, very young. And I think I'm very blessed because I get to see different types of people and different kinds of mindset right during my formative years and even in my teenager years. So when I started maturing into my teenage years, it was just working hard is like breathing. I should not be, I don't doubt it anymore. And I will just ask what it takes. What it takes to get there. And then kill myself to get there. It's something that I learned from my aunt. That was my very, very first exposure. It stuck with me ever since. It just stuck. So what about you, Cristina? What about you?
You were lucky you had a great mentor from early on. I believe that the role of, there are two ways actually that as a child you can have big gains. If you have such a mentor like you and being exposed to different kind of models, or through your own hardships when you don't have people around you to guide and you need to find your own truth. And so I would say that the luckiest children are those who go through hardships or have the right mentors next to them, not the ones who have it all from the beginning. And so you had a great mentor, as far as you told me, and then she guided your way in a very harsh type of way. Today it's not exactly something agreed by many that is good to do something like this. And yeah, here it comes the balance. What are you doing now as a parent when you have the social pressure about how you should treat the child like it's silk or something, and don't expose your child to any kind of difficulty? And on the other hand, okay, if you are not there, what the child will do without you if doesn't felt the hardships, the pain, the things, and you were too protective. And this too protectiveness is really debilitating children. And I believe that our society played a big role in this. And that is why today we have procrastination and entitlement between the youth in a big degree. And also, it's one of the causes for their unhappiness level. And because I am in this field, depression and anxiety, it was scaling before COVID, but now after COVID just tripled, you know, and it tripled in the young generation, in the young adults. And this is very, very scary. And I noticed in my work as well, the young ones were the first hit by depression, by what do? I cannot just stay in the house. I feel depressed. I cannot go over. The suicide rates went to the roof. And this, you need to see where it comes from. It's not just one-time event. It's not one-day event. You need to go into the background. How were those kids raised? What they learned in school? What was their guidance? through their mentors, their teachers. And so you see, we had two different options. I had a lot of struggles and pain. I needed to figure out things myself. That was my journey. I didn't have a mentor. I had a lot of troubles and struggles, and some family members who didn't believe in me at all, or didn't love me, if that's possible for a child. And
Oh,
so
it's possible.
having
It's possible.
it is. I just said it like this, but in my case, it was true. And so having that kind of moment when you realize that, okay, this life is difficult and it's not exactly happy, and you need to do something about yourself, need to figure out things. And when the adolescence comes and you have so many emotions and hormones and stuff, and then everything can just escalate, like even depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety. At some point, you need to just decide what you want to do and who to listen to. And here you mentioned, yeah, you want to listen to your parents or your aunt. Which one is the best model? Because they are extreme. At the extreme, you want to be in the middle or just find your own truth. And so you went and tried things out, and you just noticed, because this is one of the things I took from your description. You noticed, okay, so this is my aunt's life. She has some sacrifices, things to pay for. She's not liked. Oh, the vast majority of people, they will sacrifice their own entire life just to be liked and to conform and be part of that same social group until they die. This is not possible. People groups can grow with you, or if they don't grow, they will do everything, even if they don't want to. They have the best intention, but they don't like the change. They don't like to see you change, because they know that if you grow, they will be forced to grow or they will lose you. So what they will do? They will try to stick and do and pull you down. And so this is one of the things you need to decide at some point in your life. How much sacrifice are you able to take in life? Why? What's your mission? What's your vision about your life? Where you want to go? What do you want to live in this world? Do you have a legacy, or you just want to breathe in, just work and just be part of the sheep? And real, true models, the true leaders, the people who leave something behind, they are very conscious about the pain they will endure. They are very conscious about the cost they will endure. They know that they won't be liked, or even if they will be liked, half of the people, they will hate them, and they will have all of those kind of judgment and things to say about them. So it's hurtful. If you want to grow, you need to develop a thick skin. Absolutely. Otherwise, you will just stay where you are. And so, yeah, I'm not sure if I answered your question, but this is how I see it, that you either have some hardships and you need to figure out yourself, or you start to look for mentors early on. And today we have the internet. Today we have YouTube. I didn't have that. So I needed to find my own mentors later, as soon as I could. But today, you can educate yourself from YouTube, from online. You can find out every kind of stories to just give you the full picture about life, the possibilities. Never just digest the first comer, the news, everything that comes to you in one direction. Because we know today, even the filters, right, on the internet, if you just look for some item or you're politically inclined to one direction, you will have certain type of information. So it's very easy to be indoctrinated and stupefied, if you want to call it this way. So every time you need to juggle, okay, so I am going, the internet can be also a good moderator, because if I notice in my feed that I have too many news or too much attention on one topic or subject, then it's an indicator that I lose the other half, and I start to search, to just push the algorithm to also give me the other side. And so we always need to audit the information we receive. We always need to audit our mindset and our growth, development, and level we are in.
And it's very interesting that we come to the moment where we realize that, okay, we have to go our own way. I think like you correctly mentioned, for me is because my aunt walked into my life. I don't think I was influenced by her from the very beginning, but over time. And I started to see like, okay, so maybe that's not what I'm interested in, but I'm more interested in this. So for you, when did that moment hit you that, okay, enough of this, I want to go my own way and this is the way that I'm pursuing? When was that?
There were several moments. Never it happens just one time. You need to have more incidents that just root you that this is not good. You have your intuition at first, especially as a child. This is not right. You know, one of my values is fairness.
Mm,
And for this, I was pretty tough and beat children who abused other smaller children. So I was a little bit aggressive. My unhappiness went into aggression, but I became like the bully of the bullies. I couldn't stand like kids who just abuse others because they are weak, they are maybe introverts or some sort. And so I figured out that things are not right in my life. I'm not happy. The intuition told me that this is not the right path. I need to discover more. Where is the truth? I had two different kind of stories from one part of the family, from the other part. And so I was in a battle where I felt that no one cares about me, no one thinks about my feelings and where I want to go. And it's a constant battle where I am just a casualty. And so at some point I discovered that, hey, I need to do something about this. But there were little drops during the years. And then at some point in high school, it just clicked to me that, okay, it's obvious that we are not exactly at the best of our capability. And I had two lessons I learned about at that point in high school about the humankind, that they are very unstable. Like you can just switch your mood in a second. You have a trigger, and from an angel you become a demon.
mm,
And vice versa. And this was to me fascinating. How is that possible? I talked with you nicely, everything was cool, and I just said something I didn't realize, and you just transform into a monster. And so this was one, that we are very unstable, and I said it should be a better way than this because we are humans and not animals. And second, it was that we are very shallow. And this came from my tests. Like I could put a face on me, or dress in a particular way, or talk in a particular way, and project a different kind of profile, or people were reading me differently during 24 hours because I had several kind of external groups. For sport, I did sports, I did other activities, school, like friends next to where my blogs. So having all these different mediums, I saw that I'm perceived completely differently according to how I act or how I am perceived. And I said, okay, so we are also very shallow. And later on, I saw this in television, popular figures, like we just digest too quickly what we saw. Like I meet you now in 15 seconds, I just make my judgment or my first impression, and that's sticks, and it's hard to be changed. So these two realization for me was, I think, the life-changing moment when I said, no, I need to figure everything about the human mind, how we function, because this is the way I am very sure that I don't want to live. I want to be in control about my life and not just juggling between sides, between emotions, between what I want, what I don't want, seeing that people are doing this as well. And so I wanted to be ahead of the curve, understanding first, then later rewrite what I don't like and reprogram myself in the way I truly desire, feel, I want to go, you know,
mm,
discovering myself, discovering my own truth, and then strengthening my inner truth until I reach that level that no matter what happens to me, I'm safe because I'm with me. And one of my biggest lessons I trained and teach, especially in coaching, was to become your best friend. This is one of the life-saving moments for me, becoming my best friend, because once you become your best friend, you are never alone. Nothing can happen to just break you forever, because you know that you can rely on yourself. And the best chit chats I have with myself. So, you know, it's an indicator when someone starts personal development at the beginning, especially how long they can stand alone with themselves talking and don't feel awkward or depressed or upset. Oh, I cannot stand myself anymore. This is a good indicator about how evolved you are in your personal development, how much you know yourself, how strong you are. And so this was a long journey. And when I became very comfortable in my own skin, talking with myself, not needing anyone to confirm me or tell me the other way around, and that was the moment I felt free. I felt free. I am not dependent on any external factor or person to feel worthy, to feel that I have a reason, a purpose to live. Because I can decide, and if I go through hardships, I have a good mentor, a best friend, a true best friend to talk with situations. Yes, and this to me was a life lesson I try to teach others as well.
You made a very interesting point, and I want to do a direct response to that one because I am absolutely, it's possible for me just to talk to myself the entire day. Absolutely
I'm sure.
possible. Yeah. And
And you like it, right? It's a good, positive, and entertaining kind of day discussion. You cannot stop, basically, at some point.
it's very, there are many ways to get to that state. One is I like to scribble. So I will give myself probably 30 to 45 minutes during the start of the day. I know people will regard this as meditation, but to me it's not really meditation because I don't shut my eyes and listen. The way I do it is I have paper and pen. I will just shut everything off and tune into my mind. Whatever that passed by, I'll scribble it. I'll scribble it without trying to intervene or interrupt. And when the 30 or 45 minutes is done, I'll pause and then I'll look at what I have written. I'll start asking myself, this is very interesting. Why am I even writing this? Because then I'll start thinking, did I think about this yesterday, the day before? Like when? Was it a dream? I don't think so. So it allowed me to really look into my mind and say, geez, what is my mind thinking? It could be something subconscious, I do not know. But the one truth that I took out of this is I did not have to question the source of all these messages. It is not external, it's internal, it's from me. So the source is definitely real. Then the question is, why is my mind telling me all this? My only conclusion is that it matters. That's why it's trying to tell me, hey, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing. And it could be a very recent episode. It could be a very long-standing episode. Like I could listen to a YouTube clip 5 days ago, and I would have not thought about it at all. And this morning, I'll be like, certain messages in the YouTube clip will just start going around. And I was like, okay, let me just scribble it down. Okay, why? Like, okay. So, like for instance, I could be listening to a YouTube clip on how people get successful, and certain messages come in like, oh, you know, the most successful people in business, they have slept in their office floor before for the first 3 to 4 years and whatsoever. I would just scribble it down. I'll be like, okay, why is this coming to me? It's trying to tell me that sacrifice is necessary. It's trying to tell me that commitment is necessary. So I'll just write on top of that, what's my takeaway? What's my takeaway? And what's my takeaway? And I think if I don't put the time box, I could just go on. It's very entertaining. And I think part of the reason I can do this all day is from young I've been told that I might be autistic, but I think these days it's not really autism, but a milder form. Is it Asperger's or something, or something like that? I don't really remember. I could be a sociopath because I can be very insensitive. I can choose to be very insensitive and everything will just whiz past. I will be so caught up with my own bubble, what I want to achieve, what I want to do. This is my target. I want to write 5 articles today. I want to do so many posts today. I want to clear off my budgeting today. I want to endorse this today. That every and anything else just don't bother me. And I find this absolutely fascinating. I think many people will call this the emotion or the state of flow. But I'm not too sure if that's really the case, because flow seems to be a very deliberate action to get into that state. But I can get into it very naturally. So I can wake up in the morning and be like, okay, I need to do this. I'll start doing it. I'll start doing it. And I'll start doing it. And I'll allow whatever that needs to be done to be done. I love it.
Actually, to reach flow deliberately, it's a harder process than just go into it naturally. And it's about focus. So the flow state is around a very narrow type of focus and you cannot see anything else. Like when you're defocusing yourself, you see everything. You see the room, you see where you are, you hear the voices and what is going on around you. But when you are in the flow state, you just see a pixel on your screen. It's pretty much that kind of analogy. And so you don't have any intention when you start to write in the morning. Don't set any intention, just you want to see what's coming out.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll just scribble. I'll just write what is in my mind, and there's a lot. It's amazing. I mean, like if you do something like that in the morning, okay. I think a lot of people, they choose to meditate in the morning. It's like it's the same thing. You start to pay attention to what's in your mind. Try to blank out, right? You try to blank out, but I don't want to blank out. I want the voices to come out. I want to hear, what am I telling myself? What is it? Like, what is it that my mind is focusing on? What is it that it could be telling me for days, but because I'm busy, I didn't listen to it. To me, that is very important. Pretty much from my personal philosophy, because we live our own life. We don't live other people's life. If we don't listen to ourselves, no one is going to listen to us. So to your point that we are our own best friend, I didn't think about it that way, although it works too. It's really just paying attention to ourselves is so understated. It's so understated and underappreciated that I am very surprised people don't spend enough time with themselves. Just like, you don't have to deliberately figure things out. The first step can be very simple. Just listen. Just listen to what this is trying to tell you. And you will know. Possibly your first step or the next few steps. That's what I think. It worked for me.
How to not know yourself? How to not know yourself if you want to be happy, if you want to live with purpose? It's just a nonsense. You're more inclined, or many people, staying hours just to judge others or watch inside others' lives and not living their own life. So yeah. And these moments before going to bed and getting off in the morning are the most important things, because they are linked with the subconscious mind, like before you enter in the sleep mode, let's say, and you go deeper in your subconscious, it's good to give an intention. What do you want your subconscious to do during the night? Because it's not just about, okay, I can have a restful night and just sleep. No, if you go to bed anxious or stressed, while your sleep will be like this. But the subconscious anyway can work to a higher rate than the conscious, as we all know. There is just no comparison between the conscious and subconscious mind. It's so huge, the difference. So you can give a lot of tasks to your subconscious. How do you want to wake up in the morning? What do you want to do or figure out for the next day? Giving tasks, it's better to just give one task and then asleep with that one thought. Then your sleep will be at least very, very objective driven as well. You will sleep well. You gave direction. You know, minds, it's one of the premise in NLP as well, that minds are functioning in directions. If you don't have directions, other will give you the direction, and guess what they want for you. It's better you set up the directions, and this goes in the night. And in the morning, everything that's the subconscious worked on, it can come and give you answers or resolve some issues or guide you intuitively even how you should proceed some actions, or if you have problems you cannot know how to solve, then you give that intention in the night before you go to bed, and in the morning you need to stay, if possible, with eyes closed, because if you open your eyes many times you forget your dreams and so forth. Stay with your eyes closed in silence, retrieve the information that comes to you at first, and there you can find great answers. And so many people, all the successful people, have different kind of rituals in the morning, and one of them pretty frequently is like journaling or writing anything, many with intentions, some others just as you. It's like a riddle type of game you're playing, writing everything that comes in your mind and then figuring it out. It's like a puzzle, and put the pieces together, which is good because it gives you an insight about the problems your subconscious is working on. And if those are not important for what you want to achieve, then it's an indicator, or it can be also be a guide that you should change your intentions and give more clear directions about what you want to achieve next. So yeah, this balance working with your mind, subconscious mind, and after you wake up are very, very important. Like, for example, many people use gratitude. Just list when you wake up 10 things you're grateful in life. This gives you a new perspective, because many people just complain about what's wrong. They are living in the past and they don't have the courage to just question, okay, what can I do? Not what others can do for me. And so just see your life in a different perspective. No matter how hard you are right now, or how messy your situation in life is, or maybe you lost your job or someone you love, every time you have at least 10 things to be grateful for, and just list them. You can write them down, because the mind is working more effectively if it's written by hand, not on board. Not the keyboard, is better with hand. And or if you don't have the time, you don't want to do it, just think about these things, but it will change your perspective, it will change your mindset, it will give a plus there to show you gratitude about the life you have. And from here you can create. If you're not in a creator state where you see things that are good and can be even better, you won't create anything better for your life. So that is why this gratefulness thing is something I do pretty often. Not on a daily basis, I should, but not daily, but I do it pretty often, and it changes the entire outcome of the day. Because if you start to infuse yourself with that kind of sensation, which is accompanied with gratefulness as a symbiosis, everything you will choose to do as actions will be already different than when you wake up and you just see the bad part or the black part of a problems or of your life. And so the decision-making process is directly correlated with your state always. When you are mad, you will take statistically bad decisions. So never take decisions in a bad state. At least try to change the state, and you can change any state with the right pose, because the body and the mind influence each other. And so your biochemistry will change according to your state. And so many times you can just use your body to get that state you want. So change your state. You can change your state in 2 minutes, staying in the right pose or a good position. Some are called the power poses. to just get in that confident or positive mindset mood and then take decision. If you don't have the time, I don't know, just say that you go to the bathroom, you need to drink some water, go somewhere, stay 2 minutes in the right pose. If you are anxious, nervous, don't know what to decide, come back and decide. The decision will be qualitative better. It will be a better quality than before. So it's important because people just make decision about their life, something which can have consequences for 1 year or a lifetime in a couple of seconds under pressure, you know, stressed. And that's the worst thing you can do. Until you chill down, you feel calm and confident with yourself, your decision will be statistically wrong from the beginning. And so if you know this, and you have this as a constant reminder in any kind of situation, you won't feel any more pressured or forced to take a decision if you feel yourself stressed. And you will find a way, because people are very adjustable if they want to and they choose to find a way to take that extra time to chill down, and then the right decision will come.
Wow, I think we've spoken so much about mindset. What about greatness? Let me just think about this. How do you identify greatness?
In people, right?
Yeah.
When you, yeah, it comes with experience, but there are now some common traits I can definitely notice when I see someone or I meet someone for the first time. We can also create categories through Zoom or in person, because now with COVID, we are all through Zoom and so forth. First is the state, the state you are receiving when you are in the presence of greatness. Because people who are at a higher level of evolution, let's say this way, they have a complete different vibe, which gives you respect automatically. You know, you just feel inspired. Some people can feel a little bit fearful because it's too huge of that person in front of them, but you do have that kind of respect sensation about, wow, this person is someone. And another trait is calmness. The real great people are very calm. They know how to make you feel uncomfortable, even if you are just like nobody. This was a very, very important lesson I learned, that the people who are, everything is in hierarchy. I believe in hierarchy, and you cannot just dismiss our evolution and say that we should be all equal, because it's a nonsense. You are earning a lot of things to become who you are. You cannot just be on the same level with someone who does zero effort to evolve or leave something behind in the society. You cannot just compare the two. So someone who grows and it's on a higher level, already you can presume that went through a lot of hardship, but tons of hardship, failure, bad things that happen, and still it sticks to the root and achieve that higher level. No one can achieve a higher level without going through so many bad situations as well and failure. So they become at some point humble, and you can sense that humbleness. For example, such a person won't lose time just to stay with you. It's better to say, I'm sorry, I'm very busy, I need to do something else. That's one. They just don't stay in a conversation just because, you know, it's nice to do it. No, time is more precious. They don't do that. They are very polite, but they disappear in 1 second. Or if they choose to stay, even if you are a nobody, they are the most curious people in the room. They just look at you like you are the teacher and they are the student. They are truly interested. If I spend the time with you 1 minute, 60 seconds, or 1 hour, I need to take the most of that time. So they are listening, they learning from you, because you're a different person and you have different lessons, even if your life experience is not as much, but is different. And I sure have there something. And they are like the most curious student who want to learn things from you. And so my best type of sensation to be around with someone I don't know too much, or at the beginning were around this kind of great people who are huge as a mountain. They didn't know me before, but they are just they truly want to know me or to understand what I want to tell them, compared to the other extreme, not in the middle, like just take the two extremes. At the lowest level, those people will talk over you. I know that they won't listen. They have the recipe and solution for everything. And they just want to prove and show that they are the most important people in the room. And the first category, they want to show the opposite. They are like invisible forces, energies who are just there and who want to learn more, want to grow more. And so they know that by imposing their status, they won't learn anything. They talk last, they ask a lot of questions. They have that kind of vibe which makes you feel that you are the most important in the room. So this is another thing I wanted to point out. Yeah.
Would you be able to get all this information you just mentioned via first impression? Would it be possible?
Well, I can, because this is one of my innate talents. And between my nicknames, People Reader is one of them. So this was also not only a fascination of mine, because, you know, if you are open to know yourself more, you discover those personalized traits about you and your mission in life. And I discovered this later on, but I discovered, oh, they were present in my life. Because of my background and how I grew up, I became very receptive of all kind of like people detection, little micro gesture, micro sensations, and I'm very empathic and intuitive, even if it doesn't show, because I work in a business environment and I am tough. I am tough because I'm also objective driven and I can be perceived very tough. The truth is that my empathy level and intuition level, it's way above the average. So I can read people pretty well. And I could notice even in presidents or other big level, higher level officials who, let's say, become huge and in a positive way, or they become a huge disaster. I had reads with 10, 20, 30 years before, which were accurate. And those people were just noticed like they are a fraud or not after 30 years or 15 or more. And so this is one having having some decades already, I had this kind of study on myself. But other than that, if you are not a little bit, let's say, gifted, or you not work on this specific domain, if we go to my first basic scenario, when I was in high school, that we are very shallow, I would say that now we don't do a good job in voting for the right people, reading for the right people, because we take only the surface and we take bad judgment. But that doesn't mean that we couldn't do better. But you know, that first kind of intuition, that sense, which is connected to the energies around us, to our subconscious information library, which is already there, it's there, but it can be a millisecond, a fraction of a second. And if you are not training yourself to listen, then you will miss it. And then it will come your first impression. It's not exactly the first impression, is the second most basic but rudimentary impression around the appearances of those people. So yeah, this is my take on it.
Wow. Do you realize that you dropped so much value in one conversation that I'm so impressed?
I hope so. I truly want to help your audience.
It's definitely so, and mindset has always been a very intriguing thing. To me, I'm still learning about it. I think the most important thing is it's a combination of our experiences, and if we don't have it, we should get it. So how do we get experience? We have to experiment. I think that's the best way to put forth. If we want to understand the different perspectives in life, we have to experience it. And the way to get the experience is to get out of the door. And I think that is the most practical advice that through a combination of your story and mine, that really is it. It's as simple as that. So I'm very, very impressed by the entire conversation. So thank you, Cristina. So
Thank you.
in conclusion, how do people reach out to you?
They can go to my website, mindsettogreatness.com, where I have, let's say, more of my public profile. They can find me on LinkedIn, where I'm more active. LinkedIn became my first platform, the rest not so much. And yeah, if they want to learn more about the mindset, then these two channels are the best. But mindsettogreatness.com should be the first to go right now.
So there you have it, mindsettogreatness.com. So thank you, Christine. Thank you, Cristina. Got the name wrong. So sorry about that one.
You gave me a lamp.
Yeah, I did. And I think there's a lot of takeaways personally for myself too, as we share our stories and the way we think about the mindset and the greatness. So I think we overran. So thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Thank you for the invitation, Audrey. It
All
was
right.
a pleasure.
See you soon.
See you.